There we go. Ooh, big one. Stay pegged, baby. Woo! That's a 5. Get you some of that on Championship Saturday, baby. Woo!
I'm Frank Talley, Bassmaster Elite Series champion. Today, I'm gonna go over my ultimate football jig setup and how I rig it. We're gonna take this 3/4 ounce Strike King Tour Grade football jig, and I'm gonna show you from start to finish how I like to doctor it up and some of the little tweaks I like to do to make it fishable for me. First off, you have this weed guard here. I bring it down, and when you bend it, it comes right to the point. I still like to trim about 1/8 of an inch off. So right there. So now you have that gap between. So if you're rolling over a piece of brush, it still has enough to kick it past the point, but yet there's a gap here and it comes out shy without touching the point. You can see that right there, it doesn't touch the point. That's for the most hookup ratio, in my opinion, what I've had the best luck with. Next, what I do is I do like a bulky jig because I think you're throwing this jig for one purpose, and that's to get a big bite. So what I'll do is I will take a little bit of the skirt off, but not a lot. I'll bring it down like that, and I'll come and I'll cut it at an angle, just like that. And so you're still about a 1/2 inch or so below the hook bend, but yet you've made it uniformed. And what it does too, by shortening that skirt up, when the jig's on the bottom, that jig right there will flare out. Of course, with water, it'll flare out. So that's one rule of thumb when you trim a jig. It's a lot for the action and the flare out of the skirt. Next thing I do is I take, this is a Strike King Rage Crawl, just green pumpkin to match this green pumpkin jig. And what I'll do is I'll come right here and I'll thread it down, come back up, and then lock it in there. And that is basically what I like when it comes to that jig. And the reason why you're like, well, why don't you have this, why don't you notch off some of this or bite off some of the top to make it closer to the end of the jig? I'm looking for a big meal. The fish are looking for a big meal, especially in the summer and the winter time. They're looking for a big meal. You don't want to, we're not throwing a finesse jig here. We're throwing a football jig. So, I mean, I'm looking for a big bite that gets down to the bottom quick, that I can actually drag fast across the bottom, hop it a little bit, sometimes even stroke it, you know, jump it up 4 or 5 foot off the bottom and let that reaction fall. With being a 3/4 ounce head, it's gonna fall really quick in this action. So that's just a big profile bait that gets bit. I like to throw, you know, this bait around gravel runouts, which are, you know, long extending gravel points and banks that run way out. You know, they start out in 4 or 5 foot of water, and it takes 50 or 60 yards out into the lake to get down to 15 or 20 foot. That's just pea gravel runouts. Ledges, of course, like lakes like Gunnersville, Chick, Pickwick, you know, any lake that has ledges. It's a great ledge bait. Also, sometimes I like to throw it around standing timber. I mean, like Lake Fork, where we just got done from over there, it's a great standing timber bait. You know, throw it out and drag it through standing timber, and, you know, it's very effective doing that. You know, basically anywhere you'd like to throw a casting jig, a football jig works also, but the deal with the football jig is it's heavier and it's more weedless because of the head design, because it's, i.e. a football. and where the point, or the excuse me, the line tie is, it's strategically placed there too, so it doesn't get hung up and snagged near as much coming through rock and brush. So, you know, I think if you throw this in areas where you can't get bit on a reaction style bait, I think you'll be, you know, real happy with the results. It's a great big fish bait, and it will catch numbers.